Welcome to the introduction to analytics in SAP Business One Web Client. Our first tool that we're going to discuss is the list view. A list view is, we can consider a list view to be our primary analytic tool. There are three ways that we can process the list view, that is the table view, chart view, and card view. Let's start by discussing like table view. So what a table view is, and let's go ahead and utilize a real life example. Let's go to our sales tab and let's analyze our sales orders for the year 2024, but by sales employee. Now, what a table view is a list of records. In this case, we are listing the records for sales orders. You can see that we have all the fields that we can filter by on top, and then right below those fields, we have a table displaying all the records for all sales orders, and we have all these columns. Now, for our example, we're missing one important column. We are not displaying the sales employee name. Let's click on View Settings and let's use the search field to search for the sales employee. Click on Sales Employee Name. Okay. Now you can see that I have my sales employee here, but I don't want the column to be here. I want it to be the first column because, well, just for visual purposes. Now, that will allow me to group easier. So let's go ahead and click again on View Settings. Let's click on Sales Employee Name, and you can see that I have four arrows here. The first one is to move to top. Last one is to move to bottom. And then I have the move up and move down. In this case, I'll move to top and click OK. Now you can see that my first field is my sales employee name. Now let's go ahead and group all my data by sales employee name by right clicking on the sales employee name header or column header and then clicking on group. As soon as I do that, you can see that my document total is now accumulated by sales employee, and now I can analyze the data. But there is one thing. I don't have any filters. So my data is showing all records since the beginning of transactions in my company. So I want to be able to filter by dates. Let's click on Adapt Filters, and this will display all the fields that I can filter by. In this case, let's search for document date. And as you can see, I have multiple document date fields. Some of them are only available in the web client, and those are using the date offset or date offsetting options that the web client provides. We will discuss them in a couple of minutes. So let's go ahead and just select quarter and select year and click OK. Now you can see that now those two fields are here in my filters, and I can start by filtering by year. Let's start by entering 2024 and clicking on the Go button. And now you can see that my data is filtered by the year 2024. But I can go further and add the Q1, and that will further filter my data by 2024 Q1, the first 3 months of the year. It's simple, is quick, and as simple as that, you can see that we can leverage on the capabilities of the web client. Important things to keep in mind or to take note from the table view, it's that we can add or remove filter fields, and we can add or remove columns for information. One last thing is I can create more than one grouping. I can right click on another column and filter further. So now I have two groups and I can keep on grouping. I don't have a limit. If I need to remove a group, I can click here on this little link that tells me that I have two, or I have my data grouped by two fields. I can come in here and I can remove one of the filters. This is capabilities of my list view as a table view format. Another list view capability that we have at our disposal is the chart view. So the chart allows us to see a visual representation of the data, allowing us to quickly identify trends and gain insights into the business performance. We already have data filtered here, so let's utilize the data that we have filtered. We are going to click here on our options. If you see the screen, we can click here in chart view, and that will immediately create a chart. Now notice that the system already moved our sales employee right here, but it's record counting. That means that it's just counting the amount of documents that we have by sales employee name. Now, the filter is still the same, year 2024 Q1, but we can add more fields to the chart because maybe we don't want to record count. Maybe what we want is to have by document total. If I click by document total, you see that the graph changes immediately and I can see all my sales employees. And now I'm looking at the document total. But actually, I can add more than one field here. And let's do a document total and versus the gross profit total of the document. If I select both, you can see the trends, right? You can see the lines and you can see the relationships and you can see exactly what is the point. If I click on any data point, you can see that now I see the data. If I hover over them, you will see that here is a gross profit. And if I go up here, you will see that I have the data of the document total, and I hover in and hold the mouse, and then a little pop-up window will show me the document total and the sales employee. Now I can click on multiple points, holding control or holding shift. I can click on different points in the graph and that will accumulate the details here. So you can see that I have the details because I've already clicked. If I click away, that disappears. I can also use my click and hover over to do an ad hoc selection, and that will again create details here that I can easily export to Excel by clicking on this button. I can also click on the legend that I have here, and that will automatically select the whole graph for me. And I can see that as soon as I click, I select automatically, the system will show the details. But also, I can change the graph by just clicking here. I can move from a line chart to a bar chart, or I can move to this is a column chart, sorry, and this is the bar chart. But I can click here and create a stack column chart. Important thing, all of the graphs are interactive. So I can hold control or shift. If I want to randomly select, I can hold control. And if I want to select continuously, I can select shift. Both serve the same purpose, and I can drag and select. If I click away, that disappears. I can also add more information here. For instance, I can add another dimension here if I needed to do it, like cancellation week or cancellation date or customer code, right? I can further have more filters. As soon as I select my customer code, you can see that now the graph changes and I can click on customers, right? I can come in here and I can again change this to all, and every single time I change something, you can see the system will automatically change the behavior and the presentation of the graph. Now, another neat thing of the chart is that I can utilize this button to make it full screen. I can click away. I can click again, and that will basically move it back to where it was. I can unhide the legend that I have here, and I can also sort. I can sort by y-axis, I can sort by x-axis, and I can also do it in ascending or descending way. Also, I can export the data to Excel. I will suggest first creating the details and then export to Excel. One important thing here that I will explain right now is that we can save this view. You see right here, I see my old sales orders and I see a little asterisk here. That means that this configuration, this graph, this chart that we just created with this field and our filter is not saved I can click here and I can save as, and I can create this as sales orders. Let me just rename this all sales orders chart, and I'll add in a number one. Save, and now I have my list view saved. I can click again on all sales orders, and this is the standard one that we utilize without any others of the fields that we added, but now I have mine saved. If I search for it, all sales orders chart number one, I click and I have my information back when I need it, and I can further filter that information. Now, let's talk about our last type of list view, and this is our card view. So if I click on the card view, you see that it tells me to choose edit to add or edit your card. So if I click on edit, it's ready and it allows me to start adding cards. Now, for sake of this example, I already have a sales dashboard that I created. So let's click on the sales dashboard and let's analyze it together. So as you can see, I have my sales order dashboard here where I see all the filtering fields. And now in the lower corner, in the lower part, sorry, of the screen, I see all the different little um, cars that I have. Every single car that you see here, for instance, sales orders by year, sales orders, total gross profit, total sales orders per customer per quarter, sales order total by month, all of them are already being filtered by the year 2024. Now I can affect the filter further. I can go ahead and filter by customer name. For instance, if I enter MaxiTech and I filter, every single card will be filtered by MaxiTech. And I can see all the sales. For instance, in this one, I can see all the sales employee that I've sold to MaxiTech and the amount of documents that have been generated. I can see um, by sales order for MaxiTech in the year 2024 by quarter. And that is very powerful. Now, also, I can go ahead and click on edit and change any of the cars that I have. All cars are independent. You see the little pencil icon, and that will allow me to change. Let's go ahead and change this pie chart that I have here for sales employees, because this one is counting the records and I want to change that. So I click and you see that I have a display. The system will display it on the left my graph, my chart, the chart that I have available. And here on the right, I see the title, the subtitle, and I see the KPI if I wanted to have a KPI. And I can modify this. So let's add first and change our segment measure. I don't want it to be record count. I want it to be document total by sales employee. As you can see now, I see that I have all my document totals by sales employee. I'll not sort, but I will do a KPI, and I'll put that my KPI is by record count. And I will add this description of the KPI to easily remember that I am record counting on the KPI. So I'll save and I'll finish edit. And now you see that my sales order by sales employee is telling me the count, right? In this case, I can click on and I can see the details. And if I click on details, you see that I can even export them to Excel. This works for each of the tiles that I have here. I have cards, little cards that I have, and I can click on any of them and I have the details. If I click on the header, that will open my chart view, the one that we already discussed, and the same principles apply. Filter, details, selections for details, export to Excel, everything like that. And if I click on my card view, that will show me again all the data. I can further uh, do filtering. For instance, I can filter ranges by adding Q1 three dots and then Q2, and that will filter all the information for Q1 and Q2, and all my little cards will change immediately. My KPIs and everything is dynamic, depending on the filters. As you can see, an asterisk appears, so that means that I haven't saved. I will save it, but then I can also save this by clicking here and saving it as a tile, and I will save it as a tile, and I'll put sales dashboard. This will be my sales dashboard, and I will add a KPI to this, and this will be my document total, and this will be total sales, and I'll add it to my home, and I'll click OK. Now if I go back to my home screen, I'll see that I have my sales dashboard, and then I click, I easily access without having to search for my list view. So this is part of the capabilities that we have available in our web client. Now let's discuss a concept that is really important for the web client, and that is the date offset. Now, a date offset is different from the date filter because the date filter allows us to set a hard coded date range, whereas the date offset is a special date filter, allowing us to define a time window which is pivoted around and offset from the current system date. So let's use our already tested all sales order list view to um, learn how to use the date offset. So I will utilize the document date as an example. So let's go ahead and click on document date. Now click on the little choose value icon, and you can see that we have time period and we see a date range. But click here and we see all a plethora of options, right? All options available. Let's use last X days and put 30 days and click away. So you can see the system already creates a formula giving us minus 30 days, three dots, and then today. Now we can modify this, right? We can add minus FRE, and that will change the date of our last. It will change the day, sorry, of our last date from 9 to 6. Why? Because we're telling it today, but put it on the Friday, minus Friday. So I want, instead of the 9th, I want the last Friday. So if I do the same thing for Monday, that will change it to the last Monday of the 9th today, but I want the last Monday. That's the minus. Plus Monday moves us to the next Monday. Plus Friday moves us to the next Friday, the 13th. Now, it's important to note that this is very powerful because we can use it either on a first or on our last part of the formula. Let's go ahead and analyze last X years. And now we'll add 8 years and click away. Now notice that the system is already giving us 8 years in the past, but it's defaulting to the 9th of 2016. But actually, I don't want that. I want to be from the beginning of exactly 8 years ago. So I can add a semicolon and add begin and click away. And as you can see, the system will automatically put the 1st of January of 2016. Now, how about the next date? Because it's putting today, but maybe I want it to be this year, but the last day of the year. So how can I do that? So I will delete today and I will add year, semicolon, and I'll put end. And if I click away, you will see that immediately the system will change. Even if you can't read it up here on the lower left corner, you will be able to read it, as you can see. From the beginning, 8 years ago, from the beginning of that 8th year to the end of the current year. So 12, this is the 31st of December of 2024. I can click OK. I click go. and that will filter my data. And as we already know, we can save this, and I'll put it all sales orders, 8 years ago, current date. Now, we have two options that we haven't discussed. So if I click on set as default, this will be my default view every time I open all sales orders or my sales orders list view, and I can add this little check here for public. That will make this list view saved and available for others to utilize. If I go to the list, you can see that I can open my open sales orders, or I can default to my already filtered list view. You can see it right here. Most of the time, analytics involves date focused data analysis. At some point, you might want to view, for example, transactions and data values for a particular week, month, quarter, or year. Or you may also want to make period comparisons, right? Q2, Q1 of several or various years. Now, to facilitate this, the date aggregation feature of the web client um, allows us to do aggregations that are date related. So let's learn how to do it. First things first, let's go to all this view. In this case, we have 8 years, so this will serve the same purpose. This is our last all sales orders from last example. So let's go to our view settings and search for document date. Now, we already discussed about the different types of fields for data aggregation, but today, or actually right now in this example, we are going to leverage on those. So we are going to select month, quarter, week, and year as part of our aggregations, and let's click OK. Now notice that now I have the same data filtered. Remember, 8 years in the past and until the end of this year. But I can see, because of I have fields for date aggregations, I can see the months, I can see the quarters, the weeks, and the years. Let's group and start looking at what the date aggregation allows us to do. So first I will group by date. Then inside the date, I'll group by quarter. Inside the date by quarter, I will do it by month. And inside month, I'll do it by week. Now we can see that the data that we have, yes, it's the same data from 8 years ago, but now you can see each of the years. And inside each of the years, we can see each of the quarters. And inside the quarters, we see the months. And inside the months, we see each week. And we can click on weeks, and we can see exactly which documents were generated in the weeks of that year. This is the power of the date aggregation. Same thing is that we can keep on filtering, because we have a document date filter, but we can go to adapt filters and we can display more fields. Doesn't matter that we already have one filter. We can keep on filtering, and we are going to display the same fields that we have as aggregations. And now you will see what we can do with this. Now, if we want to check on, let's say, month number 7, and I click go, 07, sorry. If we put 7, will not do the trick. But now if I put the document date aggregation by month and I add the 07, that will be July. You will see that now I can see that particular month for each of the years, right? So I immediately filter all the information. I can remove the groups, right? By clicking, I can remove the quarters, I can remove the months, I can remove the weeks, and only leave the year. And as you can see, I see that data. I can come back at any time and do the same thing, go to quarter. Maybe I don't want to see the months, or maybe I don't want to see the weeks, maybe just the months and not the weeks. So I have that flexibility. I can manipulate my groups, change my groups as I see fit in order for me to get the information that I need. I can also delete the date and go to quarter. Maybe I want to check on quarter 1 to quarter 2 and I go and I click on go, and now I can check on the 2 quarters per year. And also I want to, from that particular queue, I just want from week 2 to week 6, and I can further and further filter my data so I can make sense of the information. Right now, we are seeing that we're filtering Q1. The month is 1. This will be January, and then we see the week, right? So we can go in and see exactly what we need. We don't have anything preventing us from doing that. So the filters, again, you can save it and then you can come back and review it. This is how we leverage on data aggregation. One last comment about this is that if we go to chart views, those filters will become part of the chart, and the same goes to the card view. Everything applies to the other types of list views that we already discussed. Our last topic for this first webinar is, what is the general overview and in analytics, and what are the differences between the list view, what we would just see until right now, and that general overview? Well, actually, the most important difference is that the list views that we've explored so far are bound to one document, and the general overview allows us to build data cards, the same cards that we have built inside list views for particular documents. But this, in the general overview, can be done across multiple data sources. That means that we can have cards from different types of documents. Now, because of this, the general overview has some differences that we are going to explore right now. So where do we find the general overview? We are going to move to, we have all the little groups or tabs here in the upper corner. So right now we are in sales, in the upper part, sorry, of the screen, not in the upper corner. So you can see all the different groups that we have. So let's find analytics and click on it. Now you see that analytics will present a couple of options. Some of them are pre-built because this is a demo system. Some of them are practice examples, but we are going to search for a general overview. Now, general overview is a very different approach, because you can see the first thing that will be different from a normal view is that you don't have the way to filter. You don't have the filter bar, right? So this is because all of the cards that you see here in the standard are from different data sources. You have sales amounts, purchase amounts, inventory value, sales accounts postings, inventory quantity sold, top 20 selling items, gross profit versus sales, and so on and so forth. So we see that we have different data sources. So all cars can be from different sources. Now, what happens when I click on the header of one of them? Now, this is a little bit different because we can filter inside our view, because you see that we have a posting date here, right? And we can adopt filters and we can add more filters, but we cannot affect all the different components or all the different cars that are in the general overview. We can make changes to that general overview. For instance, if we hit edit, you can see here that we can click on any of our cards and we can modify it. Now, this, if you see, this is very similar to the cards in a normal list view, with one big difference. We have 2 tabs here to the right. To the left, we see the presentation of the graph or the chart or graph. Depends on what type of construct you're doing. But in this case, it's a chart. So you can see here that you have the same preview on the left, but on the right, things change substantially, because in here, the first thing that you can select is a data source that can be from all around the system, and it can include a custom query. So if you do a query, you can include it here and put it in your general overview. You have the different types of charts the source and everything. This has already been shown, but all of this is it's basically the same things that we just seen in the cards, but this has a lot more depth to it, and we can adapt the filters right from the chart, because this chart again can be linked to different sources. For instance, if I click on plus, I can go ahead and build a quick report, for instance, for purchase orders, and this can be purchase orders by document total. So it's the same thing, right? We go in, we put, like, for instance, a number of documents, X doc total. We can add KPIs if we want, and we can add, for instance, document total, and we can add, well, KPI. This is total purchased, and we go down here, and instead of record count, we go in and we select our document total, and we are going to start giving this more meaning by selecting our vendors. So we are going to search for the fields that we need. Remember that you can enter, like, for instance, letters, and that will move you around here and try to find the right fields, right? So you see the big list of information that you have available. We can do buyer code, we can do items, but I'm looking at vendor name. So now you see immediately after selecting vendor name, and now I want to color this. I want to color it, and I want to color it again by vendor. So let's color it by vendor. Now you can see the vendors and the different colors that I have. Now I can leave it without color. I can color it. I can go ahead and sort it. I can adapt the filters right away. So I can come in here and say, okay, so I want to see, let's search for document date. Remember that this is the right name, not the field name. So in this case will be document date, and I can go ahead and leverage on the same dates principles that we explored. So I can put in equal, not equal, contains, starts from, the values, and I can add the dates. I can add the filters. So I can put this, for instance, -8 years. In this case, I don't have anything -8 years, but I can put -8 years, right? And I can put 3 points, and I can put today, and the same thing works. So guys, this is important. We can leverage on everything that we've seen right up to this point. I can add this, and now I have that tile added to my general area. Now I can come in, finish my edit, and then I can save this as a different general area. So again, I can put this general overview test number 1. I can set this as my default, or I can put it as a public. This means that if I set it as a default, my default, and I made it public, I can come in here and select general overview, and the general overview that will open is my general overview, the one that I'm managing and I'm editing. So remember, this is an introduction. So key to understand that list views are the most important tool that we have. Overview, general overview, is you can apply the same concepts, but the cars are from different sources. And one important thing to keep in note is that we can base our cars in custom queries. Again, remember, customization, you can save it for you, or you can it can become public. Remember, we have the date offset and the date aggregation. So those are very powerful tools. I hope this webinar was informative to you, and hope to see you in the next one.